Welcome to the TriStar Podcast, where martial arts meets family, faith, and personal growth. Join Professor Brumitt and Professor Chris Beane as they share stories from the mat, lessons from life, and tools to help you and your family live like black belts on and off the mat. It's time to train the body, sharpen the mind, and strengthen the spirit right here on the TriStar Podcast. So you've probably heard it before, but I'll say it again because it is true. Greatness is actually found in comfort. It's forged through discipline.
And that's exactly why today we're going to be diving into a topic that will challenge your perspective and potentially change the way you look at martial arts training for your kids. Are you ready to rethink what it means to be a leader?
I sure hope so. Hey, you're listening to the TriStar Podcast. Of course, I'm Mr. Brumitt, and I'm here today with Chris Beane. Mr. Beane, always.
So listen, hey guys, today we're going to explore how values in martial arts can shape really what we think about and how we think about future leaders, both on and off the mat.
And our hope is by the end of the episode that you'll understand, why core values such as respect, discipline, and integrity aren't just, an important part of your child's, character in, the studio, but also really in totality, that your child's character is developed, but also, I would say a key to building a strong foundation for your child's future.
Well, let's get right into it.
Yeah. So the values, that are taught in martial arts, like I just mentioned, respect, discipline, integrity, they're not just essential for the student on the mat, but I would say they're really fundamental, right? They're the building blocks for your child's life. And these values don't just sit there. They're actively cultivated through consistent practice and application.
So, all right, let's kind of break these down. Let's take respect as an example. It's more than just saying yes, sir, or no, sir, or yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am. Real respect is about understanding the inherent value in every person, treating them with kindness and empathy. In martial arts, we teach that by showing respect to our fellow students, our instructors, and even to ourselves by acknowledging our limits and then, of course, striving to improve.
To add on to that, like discipline, right? Discipline is crucial. So it's not just about being able to follow a set of rules, but it's really developing the self-control needed to make good, wise decisions, especially when no one is watching. And discipline in martial arts comes from the daily commitment to, practicing, even on the days that you don't feel like it, practicing. And that same discipline translate into all areas of your life, helping kids stay focused and, I believe, motivated as well.
Integrity. Listen, integrity is another big one. It's about doing what's right, even when no one is looking. In martial arts, we emphasize that by being honest with ourselves and others. We hold ourselves and other people accountable to our words and actions, whether it's admitting a mistake, standing up for somebody who can't speak for themselves. That is what we're talking about here.
Right. And these values, they don't just benefit kids. They're vital for all of us, so as adults as well. So as parents, teaching these core values help to shape the kind of people that we want our children to become. And it's about more than just, I think, martial arts, although we're a little biased, but it's more than just martial arts. It's about fostering a strong moral compass, if you will, that will guide these kids through their life.
That's why I think it's so important to make sure these values are, of course, reinforced at home, at school, not just on the mat. We need to be consistent in how we model these behaviors ourselves, showing respect and discipline, as well as integrity with all aspects of our lives. When the kids see us living by these principles, they're more likely to adopt them as their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about, teaching. It's about, like what you're talking about. It's leading by example. So we have the power to shape the next generation of leaders, both on and off the mat. And by instilling these values now, especially at a young age, we're going to give these kids a solid foundation for success in every aspect of their lives.
So as parents and mentors, let's be intentional about how we teach and live by these core values. It's not just a lesson, it's a commitment to building better people, one value at a time.
Yeah, and look, at TriStar, I would say we've identified several key values that are particularly relevant and crucial for our community. So respect, discipline, and integrity, obviously those stand out as fundamental, pillars, if you will. But let's, kind of jump into, why these values actually really resonate strongly here.
Absolutely. Respect is often the first value that we teach in martial arts because it sets the tone for all of the interactions. At TriStar, where we have a tight-knit community, mutual respect among the people that we are interacting with, the family and the peers that we have, not just valued, but essential for fostering strong relationships. It's about seeing each other as valuable contributors inside of that community.
Yeah, and like we brought up, discipline as well as another crucial value. So at TriStar, parents often are looking, I would say, for ways to help instill, self-control, decision-making skills, in their kids. And so our martial arts school provides a structured environment where kids learn to control their impulses, make thoughtful choices, if you will. And this discipline resonates into better classroom behavior at school, not just in our classroom, but at school as well, more responsible social interactions, and ultimately a stronger sense of, I would say, personal responsibility.
Integrity. Integrity is probably, I would say, one of the most, if not the most, transformational value that we have in that community that we have set up at TriStar. We've seen firsthand how important it is to lead with honesty and accountability, whether it's admitting when you're wrong, standing up for a bully or against the bully. Integrity builds trust both with our families and within the broader community that we're in. It's about being a reliable member of society, someone that can be counted on in all areas.
Yeah, look, and let me add into this is that, these values aren't just, taught on the mat. And I know we've talked about that, but they need to be reinforced at home and at school. So, for example, we often see parents, and we love it when this happens, see them implementing our lessons by encouraging their child to, apologize sincerely when they're making a mistake, or, holding them accountable for, keeping their promises. This consistency helps, really, I would say, ingrain these values even more deeply, not to mention, backing us up and as we back the parents up, but really it ingrains those values more deeply.
Absolutely. And of course, it's not just about teaching, it's about leading by example. As
Yes.
mentors and role models, we have to demonstrate the respect, the discipline, and the integrity ourselves, whether it's through our interactions with each other, our involvement with local initiative, being visible, being a visible representation of those values is crucial.
Yeah. So look, as we focus on these values, remember that the goal is to create individuals who aren't necessarily, well, we're not focusing on martial arts like the physical movements, only, but we're also, it's also about creating a well-rounded and principled young adult who's going to have to at some point fend for themselves. So by being consistent and applying these principles day in and day out, it's really going to help our kids grow into confident, respectful, and disciplined adults.
And listen, guys, that's why it's important for parents and for the instructors to be actively involved in this process, right? Whether you're a parent or an instructor, your role is crucial in shaping the next generation of leaders who need to embody these values. Together, we can
Yes.
build a stronger community on mutual respect, discipline, and integrity.
Yeah, and that's what it's all built on. So here, let's create a personal value statement. Here's what I mean. Creating your own personal value statement, I think, is an essential step to making these principles a part of your daily life. So it starts with first identifying the core values that you truly believe in, and then committing to those values.
Exactly. Let's break it down into steps. First, I think think about what matters most for you. For example, maybe if it's respect, discipline, integrity. Maybe those are the ones we talked about so far. Maybe those are the key values for yourself. How do they align with your own personal beliefs?
Yeah, exactly. So, pick one, pick three, whatever, but start by making a list of those values, like Mr. Beane said, that resonate with you. Um, Maybe it's courage, maybe it's honesty, or even perseverance. Write them down without judgment.
And of course, once you have your list, you want to prioritize those values in a way that's important to you. This is going to be there to help to clarify which are most crucial for your own personal well-being. And again, you want to do this without judgment. Just put them down on the paper, and then you can put a hierarchical list to that. That'll really kind of hone in and define what is important for you.
And consider how these values really correspond in your life. For example, if integrity is one of your top values, think about, I would say, specific actions that reflect this, like keeping promises or admitting your mistakes even.
Of course, it's also helpful to identify instances where you've fallen short of these values. This self-awareness can be a powerful motivator, and that can help to change for growth.
And, I was going to say alongside of that is, identifying those, like you had said, being self-aware. It's not that you should, poo-poo all over yourself because now you go, oh yeah, I'm deficient in this area. It should just be a wake-up call, and it should be encouraging. So now write your own personal value statement. So I would say use clear, concise language to express your commitment to these values. For example, maybe you write, I commit to living with integrity by always, being honest and accountable.
What a great point there. Listen, make sure your statement is specific enough that you can measure your actions against it.
Yeah.
That is so important when it helps us staying on track.
And look, I would say also, share this statement with people around you. So family members, friends, or even mentors. It's easier to stay true to your values, when others know and they hold you accountable. I remember Zig Ziglar one time saying, like, he was talking about goals, but this works here, is you if you want, you share them obviously with the people that I told you already, but also he said, if you have an enemy, share that with them too, because as soon as you mess up, they're going to make sure that they let you know. And that also sometimes is a motivator too.
Yeah, wow. Absolutely. Your personal value statement will kind of act like a blueprint for your behavior and your decisions. Allow it to guide you to treat others and interact in all of the situations that you're in. Like, that's going to be your way of showing up, or how you know to be you.
And Mr. Beane, let's take it a step further. So asking this question, how do these values influence your daily choices and also interaction? So for instance, if discipline is a core value, how can you actually apply that to your work or even your personal projects?
What a great question. By consistently trying to apply your personal value in every situation, what you get to do is you are really reinforcing them, and you're allowing those values to be second nature to you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, that consistency builds character and actually helps shape who you are as a person. So it's not just about, it's not just about doing the right thing. It's about doing the right thing. It's about, well, it's about doing the right thing every single day, not just once, but being consistent.
And remember, this is an ongoing process, right?
Yes.
Your value statement can and probably will change and grow along with you as your life changes or you gain new insights. Regularly revisit and redefine what it means to ensure that it stays relevant and also meaningful to you.
That's a good point, because as you grow as a person, those things probably might change, and that's why we emphasize the also the importance of personal commitment. So I remember the black belt success system, and part of that where we talked about know what you want, have a plan and a success coach, take consistent action, and then review your progress and renew your goals, so that once you get closer to where you want to be or you're already there, you should already be reviewing where you are at and then creating a new goal, or in this case, creating a new vision statement, or what have you. And so that's going to allow you to know what values are important, and then about living those values every single day. So anyways, teaching values, or looking at values in your daily life, let's kind of segue into some practical examples of how you can integrate those values into your child's daily life. So for instance, if respect is a core value of your family, make it a point to actually discuss and demonstrate respectful behaviors at home. So maybe during mealtime, you could encourage each other, around the table, to listen actively when someone else is speaking.
Absolutely. Another example could be teaching honesty by setting a good example for yourself. If you accidentally break something or you tell a lie, own up to it and explain the consequences of your actions.
That's a great point. So again, we fall back to consistency. So consistency in how you handle these situations actually reinforces the value of honesty. And now let's kind of shift to discipline. So at the studio, we emphasize the importance of setting goals, and we've done podcasts on that, and then also working hard towards those. So at home, you could create a chore chart where kids can earn stickers for completing tasks like making their bed, brushing their teeth, clearing off the table even.
Another effective way to teach discipline is through structured playtime. So for example, if your kids like to play video games, set a time limit and discuss the importance of balancing those fun things with some heavier responsibilities that they may have.
Exactly. And it's not only, this not only teaches them about self-discipline, it actually demonstrates it. Like, it puts it into practical application, but it also helps them to understand, I would say, the value of prioritizing their commitments as well. So integrity can be taught by, well, your consistent actions and always following through. And if you promise to help, let's say a neighbor to move next week, make sure you follow through with that.
And of course, it's important to involve kids in these decisions as well. For instance, if you're planning a family vacation, you need to budget, right, to make sure you can make it to that family vacation. Have them help to create maybe a spending plan that involves saving for that trip. That teaches them a lot about financial integrity and, of course, the responsibility that they would have for that to be a follow through.
Yeah, and I don't know about you. I mean, I never had that. Like, our parents didn't do that, but what a great opportunity now, right?
Yes, yes.
And another example could be to show your kid, like, let's say you want your kid to show kindness. You show kindness to others. Whether it's donating clothes to a charity, or volunteering to help out with something, or maybe at a local food bank. Just these acts of service can instill, I would say, the value of empathy and also generosity in your child. But you've got to take those actions first.
Absolutely. It's also, I would say, beneficial to have family discussions about some real life situations where integrity has been or would be tested. For instance, if someone offers your child something that goes against their values, discuss how maybe they could respond without compromising those values.
Yeah, I think that's powerful, and it kind of goes along with, we talked about this before. You can come up with predetermined phrases or even scripts on how you want to handle things before they even come. So, the tough decisions in the future actually become easier. And by the way, consistency and repetition are really the key. So the more that you practice as a family these values together, the more natural they actually become.
And remember, it's not just about teaching them, but you're also leading by examples. Your
Yes.
actions are going to speak louder than any of the words that you say.
Amen to that. By I would say integrating these values into your daily life personally, you are also going to be helping your kids develop a strong moral foundation that will serve them well in all aspects of their lives. Now, so not only modeling and leading by example, but when it comes to, let's say, role modeling and leading by example, the message, I would say, needs to be clear and also concise, both inside and also outside of the studio. That's why it takes a village. And so kids are like sponges, man. They're gonna absorb everything around them. And if you're teaching values but not living them, then the lessons they're gonna fall flat.
Absolutely. For instance, if honesty is a core value for your family, make sure that everyone, including the adults, including the parents, practices that consistently. Maybe there's a story about how you told the truth and you faced that difficult situation at work. Sharing those real life examples for the kids can help to illustrate the importance of honesty to the kids, not just at home, but everywhere they go, and even the repercussions that come after that.
Look, another key aspect is being present and, I would say, engaged. So if your child sees that you are fully involved, let's say, in their martial arts training, they're gonna understand the value of commitment, whether it's attending every single practice or just helping them with their homework. Make sure that your actions show how important these commitments are.
And of course, as we've talked about already, consistency is key. Kids thrive on routine and predictability.
Yes.
So by maintaining those consistent schedules for your family, the meals, the bedtime routines, and all other activities, you're teaching those kids, your kids, the importance of reliability. This consistency doesn't just apply to them in their daily life, but it's about being relatable or reliable in your commitments and the values that you want to instill for them.
And look, this is my favorite part, but let's talk about the power of celebration. So when your kids achieve something, achieve a goal, or they display the value trait that you're looking for, acknowledge their effort and success. Behavior that's rewarded will be repeated. And look, approximate behavior that's rewarded will be repeated. So remember, during, maybe during family game nights, you could have a small ritual where let's say everyone shares something positive that happened that week. It's this not only reinforces the value, but I would say it also creates a sense of community with your whole family and also support.
It's also important to address mistakes with grace and understanding. If your kid doesn't follow through on a commitment or they make a misstep, which is of course going to happen, approach
Sure.
it with the opportunity for growth rather than failure. For example, if they oversleep or they miss their morning class or they're not ready to get ready to go to karate or get on the bus for school, discuss what could have been done differently without placing the blame. And I know as a parent that's challenging to do, but the outcome will be so much more impactful for both you and your kids.
And leading by example isn't just about what you do. It's also about how you respond to these different challenges as a parent. So if your family is I would say, let's say, facing a difficult decision or a crisis, handle it to the best of your ability with calmness and integrity. Your children will learn from those, observing those type of behaviors and how you deal with adversity. So, for instance, when dealing with, let's say, financial setbacks, even show them how to, manage resources wisely and also maintain that hope, so they see the hope. Because if there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. But if you don't give them hope for the future, they don't feel that there's power in the present.
Consistency in these behaviors is what truly is going to make that impact. The more you model these values in your daily life, the easier it's going to be for your kids to emulate those actions. It's a continuous process of reinforcing and reminding them through your own behavior.
Yes. And remember, parents or even instructors, we have a powerful opportunity to influence our kids. And so by embodying these values ourselves, we set the strong foundation that they can use to build upon for their own lives. Now, regular self-reflection, I would say, is crucial for students, I would say as well, but regular reflection is crucial because, to understand, let's say your kids, to understand their growth, and to identify areas where they can improve, you need to reflect upon those. So it's just like in martial arts training, the path of personal development is, I would say, a journey, and it's filled with both successes and challenges. Like what we do is, we reflect, we reflect back on what they've learned, and we have them test on it again. Just because they learned low block here doesn't mean they don't stripe test on a low block later on, because they still do. So there's always this reflection that's happening, and we need to make sure that we're doing that as well for our kids, so that the path of their personal development grows, but is also, they understand that it's filled with both successes and challenges.
Absolutely. For example, if honesty is one of the core values that you have, encourage your kids to keep a small journal where they can write down instances where they were honest or maybe where they struggled with it. At the end of each week, you can set aside some time together to discuss what went well and maybe what could be improved. This practice not only helps them to recognize their strengths, but also to learn from the mistakes. Not to mention, I think journaling is a profound practice that anybody can have. And I think the earlier we can try to share that kind of practice with kids is so much the better. And not to mention, when you're writing, you're thinking and writing they're essential. They go hand in hand together. And, hey, listen, if your kids are having a tough time with writing or reading, having them have let's say a structured, even an unstructured journal time is wildly beneficial.
Well, I'm going to go even as far to say that there's some studies out there with even Alzheimer's, that continuing to read and write, those individuals have they're less likely to, it helps, is what I'm going at here. I don't have anything. I've watched some stuff on it anyways. So another way to, I would say, foster that self-reflection is through regular family meetings. So, everyone gets an opportunity to share their thoughts on how they've been really embodying those values in their daily lives. And these conversations can create a space, I think, for really good open dialogue and mutual support as a family. So, for instance, if someone maybe didn't fully follow through on a commitment, discussing what they could have done differently without placing blame actually helps them see the value, I would say, of accountability.
And it's important to make these reflections positive rather than punitive. Like, you don't want to punish somebody.
Yeah.
Like if your child consistently demonstrates honesty, but occasionally struggles with it, instead of punishing them, you could give those options or give those moments for teaching opportunities. Maybe during that family dinner or that family meeting that we were just talking about, share how telling the truth in difficult situations strengthens the relationship and can build trust.
Yeah, and remember, consistency is the key. So consistent self-reflection also helps for kids to stay motivated, and I would say also committed to their values. So when they see progress over time, and that's really how you should measure it, it's progress over time, it reinforces their belief that they are actually capable of making these positive changes. So for example, if your child has been working on, maybe being more patient, you could regularly point out specific instances where you saw that they showed patience. And I would say, no matter how small it is, point it out.
And let's not forget the power of positive reinforcement. Of course, again, celebrate those moments when the kids step up and uphold those values. Maybe during a family moving night, you can have a tradition of sharing something positive that happened in each of your family's life. And of course, to have that related to one of those core values like we're talking about. This is not only there to reinforce that value, but it also creates a sense of community and support within your family.
Yes. And by encouraging self-reflection and also accountability, you're equipping your child with, tools they need to navigate life's challenges and really make informed decisions, because that's what we want. We want them to be able to do that, especially even on their own as time goes on. So it's about more than just teaching them, what to do. It's about helping them understand why those actions are also important. And so this process is the key to building I would say, a strong foundation of character that will serve them well beyond the studio.
Exactly. And remember, as parents, our role is to guide and support this journey. By consistently modeling these values and encouraging self-reflection, we help to create an environment where our kids can thrive and grow into confident and responsible adults.
Yes. And let's talk about resiliency for a little bit here. So, because we have challenges, we got to be resilient. So resiliency is, I would say, and you often say this, it's a muscle. And so it gets stronger with use, not with sitting on your rear end, but it gets stronger with use. So when your child faces challenges and overcomes them, they not only learn, I would say, the value of perseverance, but they also gain confidence in their ability to be able to handle difficult situations or difficulties, if you will, in the future.
Okay, here's a for instance, okay? If you're working on building resilience around honesty, a small challenge might be laying around completing homework, right? After the kids, you tell your kids, hey, is this homework done? And it wasn't. Take a moment to discuss why telling the truth is important and what can be learned from that mistake.
Yeah, and one way to reinforce resilience is by framing challenges as opportunities for growth. So maybe during a family meeting, or it could be a one-on-one meeting, but you could share an example of when you've had to face challenges and then didn't give up, like staying calm under pressure in a certain situation, or even get your child to articulate on maybe challenges that they faced and they didn't give up. So could be like maybe they had a difficult karate move that they had to master. So, but anyways, this not only highlights the value of really perseverance, but it also provides, I would say, a positive model of what it's like, if that makes sense.
And it's important to acknowledge the effort and the progress, even if it isn't fully success, right? For example, if you're teaching patience or you're trying to teach patience to your kids, waiting quietly for their turn in class, recognizing that saying something like, I noticed how well you waited today. Let's keep practicing that. That small thing reinforces that positive behavior and shows them that even the small steps count.
Yes, and another key to help your kids develop a growth mindset, encourage them to see challenges as chances to learn and improve, rather than maybe it's an immeasurable obstacle, if you will. So you might say, what can we do differently next time, instead of focusing on the actual failure, lead in with a question, because our minds are programmed to answer questions. And so if you ask, what can we do differently next time? That's going to get the child to actually start thinking, about, hey, well, what can I do, next time?
Absolutely. And it's crucial to create an environment where kids feel safe to take risks without fear of punishment or extra criticism. Maybe during
Mhm.
a family activity, you could introduce a game that requires patience and persistence, like building a complete Lego structure together. I know a lot of families do
Okay.
that together, and what a fun activity in patience and working together, especially for the parents, right? As you work through those challenges, remind the kids, remind even yourself sometimes that it's okay to make mistakes as long as you keep trying.
Yes. And again, here's that word, and I say it a lot, consistently. So, when you're consistent in applying these principles, you're helping your child build a strong foundation of that resilience. And it isn't just about passing, through one challenge to the next challenge to the next challenge. It's really about developing the mindset and muscle, if you will, and skills that are needed to handle any obstacle that life throws their way.
And of course, remember, as parents, our role is to support this journey by providing guidance and encouragement, as well as some opportunities for growth. By doing so, we're not only helping our kids become stronger, but we're also fostering a sense of resilience that will serve them well beyond the kid life and as they move into the adult life that will be there for them.
Yes. Now let's take a look at how martial arts training can foster leadership skills through service. So one great example is the you know a annual event, like a charity event at the studio. So like last year, we partnered with a food bank, and we had students and their families help by donating food. And what was amazing is to see some kids really get involved with collecting the donations. So not just at their house, but going to different neighbors, but collecting, or even family members, but collecting those donations, and bringing them to the studio to make sure that we tried to hit our mark, if you will, so that we could give those donations out.
Right. Of course, that was for Thanksgiving. What a wonderful time of the year to do that as well, where we have those canned food drives and it's so easy for people to do. And I think, like, you're right, it was people, I think, had the opportunity to step up for that. And what a fantastic example that is. Another instance is one of our senior students, Alex, we'll call him Alex for right now. He noticed that some of the younger students were struggling with forms. And instead of just watching, he decided to help them out. He stepped onto the mat and those students some of his own time to help them on those techniques. That not only showcases the leadership that he has, but also it encourages others to take initiative to help to support their peers.
Absolutely. And leadership isn't just about taking charge, it's about empowering others. So for instance, during our one of our events that we had some students that actually stepped up to the plate to be able to share and help with some of their skills, and by doing this, they really, I would say, one, learn the value of teamwork to be able to help, but it also kind of gave them a sense of ownership of their own contribution to be able to step up and help and empower other people.
And these leadership opportunities aren't just limited to the external events. We encourage students to lead in smaller ways within the studio as well. For example, teaching junior classes or organizing equipment or making sure everything is ready for the next classes. Those responsibilities help to build confidence and leadership skills. And it's about creating an environment where they can practice and refine those traits in a safe space. And really that's what the Storm Team does. The Storm Team is kind of theirs. That's a special team of role models that we have that are out on the floor, that are helping to teach the classes. They're getting things kind of behind the scenes set up and ready so that when the students are there, they can have the best experience they can, and it's because of the teamwork and the leadership really from the storm team members.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the key values I would say that we focus on is respect. And so when students demonstrate leadership by showing respect to their peers and also their instructors, it reinforces not only their own character, but it also sets this positive example for the other students to follow. So for instance, if a student is, like to your point, seeing someone struggling with their technique and offers to help with, so not only help them, but help them with patience and kindness, that act of service, I think, really speaks volumes.
And another practical application of this again is that storm team, let's say mentorship program where we have these older senior students guide the younger ones. It's there to, let's say, it helps to create the relationship between that senior student and the junior student, and that leadership, I think there is a great job. It does a great job to communicate the effective, let's say, the effective use of leadership, right? And of course, they get to provide the feedback to the younger students. It's a win-win situation because it builds both character and community between the upper students and the lower students.
Yeah, and remember, as a parent and even as an instructor at the studio, we can support these efforts by recognizing and praising those acts of service. So whether it's something big or it's something small, we need to do that out on the floor. You, as a parent, need to do that at home. So it could be their homework. It could be, acknowledging that they got along with their sister and they showed, or they helped with their brother. And, so that just acknowledging and reinforcing those things really helps them understand the importance of leadership, but then also service to others around them.
Absolutely. And, really it's about integrating these values into every aspect of life, both within and outside of the studio. By doing so, we're building better individuals, but we're also building a stronger community.
Yeah. And mentorship, I think, it's a crucial component in supporting long-term growth. So especially when it comes to, nurturing leadership skills, at the studio, we emphasize the fact that, let's say the role of a mentor is to guide and also be a supporter of and helping students navigate both personal and in studio challenges. But so okay, for instance, like you had brought up, older students are paired with younger students. So a storm team member is paired up with a few kids that are not in storm team. The thing is, it not only provides guidance, but it also reinforces those leadership qualities through hands-on experience. And as we all know, when things become tangible, you have a tendency to remember them a lot better.
Yeah, let me give you a story here. Okay, this is about one of our storm team members. We're going to call her Sarah. Sarah noticed that one of her students, let's say Jake, was struggling with confidence in sparring. Instead of just offering advice, Sarah took the initiative to create a training plan for Jake and fostered by building his confidence, and step by step over time, there was a significant improvement not only in Jake's technique, but in his overall approach to challenges. And Sarah was able to do that as part of the storm team member, that started of the storm team program to help that student.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because mentorship isn't just about fixing the problem. It's about empowering, your students to, I would say, solve the problems independently. So, for example, when one of the senior students, let's call him Mark, faced difficulties in balancing his martial arts training with the academic pressures that were starting to happen, he actually turned to us for advice, and we helped Mark by developing helping him develop a schedule, prioritizing things, so that he could excel in both areas because he wanted to excel in both areas. So I would say this experience taught Mark the valuable life skills that he needs, but also it reinforces the importance of effective time management.
Another aspect is how the storm team can provide emotional support. During an event that we had recently, we've seen students like Emily step up and lead some small groups. However, sometimes they face moments of self-doubt or maybe even a fear of failure. Those storm team people, they play a crucial role in offering encouragement and
Yes.
reassurance. For instance, when Emily was unsure about her ability to lead that group, her storm team member reminded her of the past successes, offered her some words of support, and not only bolstered Emily's confidence, but also helped her with resilience as well.
Well, the mentorship program it's also beneficial as well with regards to, especially like how we run it, is the long-term goals. So we encourage our mentors to obviously work with the students to establish this, how do I want to say, this community, but also to create this bond between them. Because look, when there's a student struggling and we say, you can do it, as an instructor, when we say you can do it, of course it's almost like a parent saying they can do it. But when they hear one of their own peers that just maybe a few years older than them say, yeah, you can do it, they have a tendency to believe them sometimes more than they believe us. And what is really cool though is that encouragement that the storm team member is able to give that student, I think outshines sometimes the encouragement that we give them just because they're closer in age, if that makes sense.
It does. And, these goals provide a sense of direction and purpose, helping the students to stay motivated and focused, right? So another instance that we have is where Alex, his storm team member helped him to set a goal of becoming a instructor. Not only gave Alex something to work towards, but also instilled a sense of ambition and drive. By the end of that year, not only had Alex been able to improve his technique significantly, but he was actively able to start to be on the storm team program, which is where all of our instructors come from anyways. He was helping to mentor and to help to teach the classes for those younger students and demonstrating how setting and working towards goals can be have a kind of a ripple effect as well.
Yeah, and that's why it's important for our storm team members to really maintain an open line of communication with the people that they're helping with. So by being there consistently, they have the opportunity to check in regularly to help them make sure they're on the same page, see if there's any challenges or encourage any success along the way. And so that mentorship program, like we have regular meetings, for our storm team members. We encourage open dialogue about the progress and obstacles and things that are happening out on the floor. And this not only helps our storm team members, but it also helps our students feel supported because the storm team members are equipped with the skills to help our students navigate challenges eventually independently.
Exactly. It's a two-way street where both the storm team members and the students can grow together. And that support system at the place, in places at the studio, isn't just about achieving goals. It's about building relationships that last well beyond their time there, right? As the storm team, we see those interactions as opportunities to foster lifelong friendships and to have a support network that can benefit the students long after they move on.
And look, this ongoing support is crucial, I think, for instilling a sense of community and belonging, and by creating an environment where mentorship is celebrated and valued. We're not only building better individuals, but we're also strengthening the bond within the community that we have at TriStar. And so as our storm team members continue to guide and support all of our students, they are passing on many valuable life skills, if you will, that extend farther than just the mat at the studio.
And of course, it's about cultivating a culture of mutual respect and growth for everyone. And what that does is that empowers them to reach their full potential by integrating mentorship through our Storm Team program into our training philosophy. We've set up the foundation for students to become not just skilled martial artists, but also confident, compassionate leaders in and out of their community.
And look, here's what it comes down to. Really, we're not just teaching our students how to kick and punch, although we are teaching them that. We're really shaping them into leaders with, I would say, values that will stay with them for a lifetime.
That means we focus on the core values like respect, discipline, and integrity, whether it's through identifying these values that's specific to our studio or the community that we're in. We want to create a personal value statement that is a commitment. Those principles become the foundation for their character development.
And in everyday life, right? We as parents, we show how to integrate those values, whether we show it good or whether we show it not so good. So make sure that we are, teaching respect at home, discipline at home, how to overcome these challenging moments at home. Again, consistency is the key, and a consistent behavior as a role model is crucial, both on the mat for us, at home for you, and then also at work for you as a parent as well.
And don't forget self-regulation and accountability. Regularly checking in helps everyone to recognize their progress and areas for improvement. Facing challenges builds resilience, while fostering leadership through community service reinforces these values in practice.
So what does it actually look like in practice this week? That just start by reflecting on your own values as a parent or leader, and then how can you better model those values for your child or for your team in general, like especially if you're an instructor listening to this.
And listen, hey guys, if this episode hit home for you, share it with somebody who you think needs to hear it, a friend, a family member, or a colleague that's in the martial arts community.
And I would say that's our call to take action. Until next time, keep shaping those leaders one value at a time. Stay strong and keep growing.
Thanks for joining the TriStar podcast, where black belts begin at home. Connect with our community by visiting tristarkarate.com. Follow us on social media and share this episode with a family who's ready to grow stronger together. Until next time, stay focused, stay faithful, and keep training like a champion.